When you clicked on this video, you took a chance, and now there is a strong chance that the way you think will change forever because of it. We all have this love-hate relationship with chance and probability. Our brains are literally hardwired for it. I mean, gambling has been around as long as human civilization itself. Our very survival depended on our ability to evaluate risk versus reward. But despite all this, would you believe we still really don't know what a chance is? We know we take them all the time, but what exactly are they? I know on the surface this may sound like something a bit odd to say. However, trying to answer this question is actually cracking the very foundations we stand on, most notably within physics, which is often touted as the scientific authority with the most clout, the ground of rationality, as it were. You see, there is a schism within quantum physics about the nature of chance that has been stifling their progress for quite some time because the field is ultimately dominated by probability theory and the math of statistics. And in this video, I'm going to show you why this is happening to them. Not to try and crack some physics secret, but to give you the eyes to see what they cannot, and as a result, transform your perception. And to first do this, we need to start with a simple observation. We describe probability and chance via the mathematical language of statistics, but what is statistics? When we perform statistical analysis, what are we actually doing? What does statistics actually measure? Well, at its core, statistics measures or analyzes the frequency of events. That's it. It's a frequency, and because we know that events follow this pattern, we can empower ourselves to make predictions based on where we think things fall on this wave. It's degrees of uncertainty, or what they call density of probability. It's the likelihood of finding what you are looking for, and this is very important, that last part about finding what you're looking for, by the way. Statistics measures the frequencies of events. It measures how frequently things happen. However, what it means for something to happen is left by and large undefined. In statistics, an event would be defined as reaching your hand into a box and pulling out a particular color of a ball or something like that. But this is a very surface level description of an event. And to be fair, it works for most use cases, but because quantum physics is attempting to go deeper than surface level, it stops being useful very quickly. Eventually, you have to really sit down and ask what it means for something to happen. These kinds of questions have historically been glossed over, ignored, and designated as woo-woo metaphysics talk. But this question of what it means for something to happen has come back up and more or less halted progress until it's taken seriously. And it's precisely this which embodies my entire life mission, if you want to put it like that. Understanding what it means for something to happen. Investigating this question has led to a realization. What it means for something to happen shares all the same properties as what it means for something to make sense. To happen and to make sense are virtually indistinguishable. And because of this, you see a pesky problem arise within the world of physics they can't resolve. This problem is, drumroll please, observation. I'm sure many of you have heard of the observer problem in physics and wave-particle duality, and if you haven't, there are plenty of YouTube videos which explain it thoroughly. It all hinges on observation. And the interesting part about this situation to me isn't the double-slit experiment per se, but rather what it caused. You see, there is this ongoing debate between what seems like the general population of people and the institution of science about this experiment, where the people say it's consciousness which collapses the wave function, and it's somehow consciousness which creates reality, essentially. The official institutional pushback against this is that they are misinterpreting the experiment. However, despite this correction, many people still hold on to this idea, and I've discovered why. It's actually because it's true, just not in a way either of them probably thinks. This divergence occurs because neither party understands the connection between observation and things making sense, sense-making. The path to understanding what's happening here lies in epistemology. It's understanding knowledge itself. Reality is pattern, connection, information, and relationships, which is what knowledge is. They share the same definition. They are entangled. If you view it through the lens of information, then you can literally see the entanglement between observation and sense-making taking place. So let's take a look at information theory. We all know about computers and that they operate using bits, but do you have any idea what a bit is? A bit is just the smallest unit of information you can have, and they are formed in a very peculiar but telling way. Bits are formed as you reduce the amount of uncertainty. They eliminate possibility. You start with a possibility space, and once you make an observation that cuts this possibility space in half, you have one bit of information. If you make an observation that cuts the possibility space into fourths, then you have 2 bits of information, and so on and so forth. But the catch here is that it is the observation which creates the information. You could say that when it isn't being observed, you just have the possibility space. This is the superposition where both states exist simultaneously. It's potentiality. It's unmanifested. Nothing has happened yet. In this sense, what it means for something to happen is the process of nothing becoming something. It's unmanifested becoming manifested, potential becoming actual, the imaginary becoming real. This is the superposition collapsing, but also this observation is the same thing as things making sense. I said this earlier. It literally becomes information. It's pattern, and we perceive by recognizing patterns, right? It's pattern recognition. To illustrate this further, the way in which information leaves the superposition follows the exact same scheme as perception. Observation is also the reduction of uncertainty. That's what a bit is. Uncertainty is filtered out. It's a filter. This is what I'm trying to get at, and this is where this all ties into my previous video, which I strongly suggest you watched if you haven't, because what I'm going to say will make a whole lot more sense or resonate with you more. But for a quick recap, conscious perception is a filtering down of possibility into a single unified instance. In neuroscientific terms, our brains act as a filter. It is constantly filtering out noise and storing the most relevant information as memory. We see in the free energy principle that the brain seeks to remove surprise, aka uncertainty. We know this. This is all well documented stuff here. The catch is that the brain does this via self-reflection, meaning the brain first refers to its own memories and tries to match or align these memories with the surrounding uncertainty. I can show you an object right now and your brain will start digging into itself to understand what it's looking at. Its ultimate goal is congruence. This process of seeking congruence can be described in terms of resonance. This is what we mean when we say things resonate with us. They are congruent or align with what we believe. It's some kind of shared truth value. The way this resonance works is that your past can be thought of as a structure. You can say it's a chain of memories or a bundle of neurons. In neuroscience, they like to use the term reality model to define this structure. However you want to phrase it is fine. This structure has a kind of natural frequency, and when reality approaches this frequency, it resonates and sense-making occurs. And what I discovered, which was the inspiration for this video, is that resonance shares a near one-to-one relationship with probability density distribution, and it all finally clicked. This is how observation collapses the wave function. When this resonance occurs, information leaves the superposition. What it means for something to happen is what it means for something to make sense to you. That becomes the path in which information is able to leave the superposition. It's almost like closing the loop in a circuit so energy can flow. This transference happens via resonance. If that's too woo for you, you can just say reality model alignment. A model which is unaligned is akin to a low-resolution image, and as this model becomes congruent, it slowly comes into focus. Either way you put it, it's a form of filtering. In physics, a resonator acts as a filter. It just so happens to be the case that this filter mirrors probability distribution. In this scenario, maximum resonance is directly equivalent to maximum reduction of uncertainty, and it makes complete sense. In statistics, greater probability density signifies the likelihood you will be able to interact with/observe what you are looking for. It's the reduction of uncertainty. A key point in all of this is that this process is guided by memory. The funny thing about memory is that it is no different than knowledge. I keep trying to drive the point home that on the most fundamental level, this is all about knowledge itself. And for us, the only way we can access knowledge or conceptualize it is as the past. The future is an unknown dimension that we navigate via probability. After we find out what happened, i.e. the superposition collapsing, this information becomes known, which is synonymous with being stored as memory, which is synonymous with being a part of the past. It's the past resonating with the future, or the future being filtered down and becoming a part of the past. It's two different ways of describing the same process, a cycle of reinforcing memories and making predictions, they would say in neuroscience. The catch here is that you can only make predictions based on what you already know. It's guided by memories, or you can say your memories frame your expectations. So what you are able to see is filtered down by what you already know. To spell it out simply, what you see is determined by what you believe. This is literally how our brains work. And if you think I'm out in left field with all of this, you're wrong. They even admit this in physics. Remember the schism I talked about in the beginning? This is exactly what it's all about. In theoretical physics, you have two bifurcating approaches, the psi-epistemic and the psi-ontic. The psi-epistemic is rooted in epistemology. It's pretty much what I've been explaining. According to this viewpoint, the wave function isn't a real thing out in the world, but rather a byproduct of the observer's subjective knowledge and beliefs. In essence, the superposition represents your ignorance, which is how I describe it if you follow my work. It's missing information, indeterminacy, imaginary, ignorance, gaps, error, delay, incongruence, dissonance, potentiality. The list goes on and on. These are all the ways this superposition can be viewed. In the psi-epistemic view, it represents your ignorance of what they call the ontic state. It's just their word for objective reality, or the Kantian noumena for my philosophy people. In pure rationalist fashion, they insist that there is a true objective reality, and the superposition is a manifestation of our ignorance of said reality, created by our bias, essentially. So according to this view, when you have a possibility space, there technically is no true possibility at all. There is only ignorance of the truth. However, if you pay attention in this psi-epistemic view, the only way for information to leave the superposition is for it to align with what you believe. It resonates with the knowledge you already possess. By their very own criteria, the collapse of the wave function is indistinguishable from learning. It's how your own personal ignorance becomes knowledge. Allah, sense-making, and observation are the same thing. But they are missing parts of the puzzle here, which I will tie in shortly. The other modality in quantum physics is the psi-ontic. This viewpoint claims that the superposition is actually out in the world. It's a real thing. According to this view, when we encounter a superposition, we aren't encountering our own ignorance, but rather a fundamental feature of objective reality, and randomness is essentially akin to nature mutating or something like that. This is how you ultimately get the many worlds interpretation, which I reference often as well in my videos. I say reality appears to be some kind of decision matrix, but I don't want to get too distracted here. I know this is all deep technical stuff, but really the main difference between these 2 points is where they place the ignorance. The epistemic view places it within us, and the ontic places it within the world. And you can see both of these views very present in my philosophy if you've been following me for a while. In physics, these viewpoints are in conflict because they are trapped within logic. They've created an inside versus outside dilemma. You become alienated by your own interiority and cut off from the quote-unquote outside objective reality. However, in actuality, these viewpoints really aren't opposed to each other at all. There is a bridge which links the two where they can actually meet in the middle, but they can probably never do it in real life because it's such a radical thing to admit for them. The solution which synthesizes, unifies, or harmonizes these positions depends on one thing: what and where you think memory is. I've been doing a decent job of keeping things based in science. I haven't gone full woo-woo, and I'm going to try and continue in this fashion. Now, if you recall, memory, information, observation, and knowledge all more or less mean the same thing, or at the very least point to the same process. You'd be hard-pressed to find a real difference between them. Observation is the creation of information. Information is knowledge, and the only way we can access knowledge is via memory, or what many people refer to as the past. So let's talk about what this really means, because I know the main objection that many of you are waiting for me to address. Within this whole double-slit experiment debate, the common retort to the consciousness people is that they have an improper definition for the word observation. It's not us consciously observing these particles with our eyes. That would be impossible. It's a machine or device that is doing the quote-unquote observing. The superposition is highly sensitive, and the detection device essentially causes it to decohere because it interacts with it. So as a result, this idea of consciousness playing a role is a misinterpretation because we are confusing the interaction of the device with observation. Now, full disclosure, I'm on board with all of this. I'm no science denier. This explanation makes perfect sense to me. However, my main point is that all observation is interaction. Observation is any path for information to take out of the superposition. That's what it means for something to happen. And this may be the confusing part for you, but to phrase it as simply as I can, everything that happens is observation. Observation and memory are the same thing, right? Well, reality remembers. This is what I'm trying to say. Memory isn't just in our brains. We literally are memory, or we are inside of it, or something like that. You wouldn't have any problem saying that everything is information, right? Well, you can just as easily say that everything is memory. They are one and the same. In this case, everything that happens is being observed by the universe. It's being stored as memory. I know I'm making it sound weird, but it's quite simple. Actually, it's written into the laws of physics. These are the laws of conservation, the conservation of mass, of energy, of information and inertia. What do you think conservation accomplishes? Conservation literally means to save, preserve, to remember. Memory is a saved state, and the proof is in the past. It's obvious. We can go to a new unseen planet and infer the things that happened there before we arrived simply because they left a mark. We call it evidence and proof. The information was retained. When you knock something over, it doesn't just disappear and reset to being in place, right? It stays the way you left it. That's memory. Every interaction that takes place is observation. It's being observed and remembered by the universe. We call this history or time passing. This is the solution to the pitfall of the solipsism problem. Within solipsism, it becomes impossible to know if anything else exists outside of yourself. You become trapped by your own interiority. However, it hinges upon an erroneous belief that you are the only thing capable of observation. You are observing, which is your own interiority, and being observed, which is your place in the world. Everything we do is being monitored and recorded. That's how memory works. We are inside of it. We just call it reality or the universe or nature. We call it all of these things to avoid calling it what it really is. I talk about what it is in my previous video, but it's spookier than you think. We are a part of a strange network. If approached logically, you could say, if reality is the set which contains all other sets, then it's impossible for us to not share all of our properties with it. It's our parent object. We are as reality is. Everything is as reality is. Reality encapsulates everything that we are, but we do not encapsulate everything that reality is. We share a certain range of properties, like a node in the network. If you pay attention, you can see that we are observations, a diced up event space. Remember that? This is how we are able to take up space and exist as individual unique agents. We have an inside, as it were, interiority, self-reflection. self-identification. Remember, the brain self-reflects. We are a fractally connected microcosm of the cosmos. This inside-outside dichotomy pops up in physics and philosophy, and it arises when you don't understand this principle of the microcosm. We are inside of it, and it is inside of us, not or. It's not either, it's both. In the epistemic view, you are ignorant. In the ontic view, reality is ignorant. Well, there's obviously a property overlap occurring. It could be the case that both you and reality are simultaneously ignorant, plausible, or it could be the case that you and reality are both simultaneously the same thing. It's like that joke where you say, I'm not saying Bruce Wayne is Batman, but I've never seen them in the same room at the same time. This network is what memory is. What you consider to be your memory is just a localized version of it. Reality itself is pure memory. It's in the name, reality, being real, that which isn't potential, that which can be observed. It's knowledge, information, patterns, connections, relationships, whatever. It's a structure of pure information. I say it's like a palace made out of crystal, a crystal palace at the end of time. And I've been trying to remain logical by calling it a network to not scare you away. However, this network is alive. It is life. We are ultimately within a transcendented being, which I call the Logos, because I don't know what else to call it. That's what it's been called historically. It's pure knowledge or observation itself or information or thought or consciousness or the ability to know or something like all of those. And this structure is in a relationship with potential. It is manifesting all possible possibilities. In the ontic view, they say that the timeline splitting is like reality mutating. This is how evolution works, you see. It's simulation. However, this is what the simulation theory people get wrong. It isn't zeros and ones. A simulation is just an exploration of possibilities, trying every path possible. It's answering the question of what if in every way conceivable. What is it like to be this? What is it like to do that? It's like a strange attractor in chaos theory. It fills up a space via novelty seeking and eventually runs out of space to explore. It can't do anything else, no more potential. The moment it runs out of space, all that's left is what it is, its own identity, the realization of the self. That's what realize means, to make real. I say that which was imaginary will become real. Consciousness is turning inside out. And I'm going to leave you with this. This is all taking place due to potential, this superposition that we cannot directly see. It's the antithesis of grasping. I call it the imagination. And we observe it indirectly via probability. And there is a reason why probability behaves like a frequency. It can flow like liquid or a wave. It's because there is a ghost in our midst. This ghost is what most people call energy. Maybe it's the Tao, I don't know, but it's that which makes things wave. This is the thing I've been trying to get you to see for so long in my videos. Having the ability to see this is what they call having some kind of autism, I guess, but energy is the capacity to do work, the ability for things to be displaced. That's the scientific definition. It really just means the possibility for things to happen. The key word here is capacity, ability, or opportunity. We take chances, right? Like you did when you clicked this video. A chance is an opportunity. It's a space or a gap. In business, you describe opportunity as a gap in the market. If things don't have the space to move, then nothing can move. No displacement is possible. This is potential. This is the ghost. The way we work today, we don't see potential as being real. I say it's imaginary. It hasn't happened yet. It's non-local. And when we observe, we pull from this non-local space and make it local. We observe it. We take the ghost and throw a sheet over it, and now we can identify it by creating a boundary around it. Then voila, the imaginary becomes real. This is how consciousness turns inside out. Whatever was on the outside of reality got sucked in. And what I've discovered is that the way this thing works, the way things are pulled from this event space, follows a principle of resonance. This resonance is a kind of congruence or harmony with the past. What happens has to be congruent on some level to what you believe will happen, or nothing happens. But if what you believe determines what you observe, it stands to reason that by changing what you believe, you change the reality you see. And in that sense, consciousness does create reality, or at the very least, you can say it shapes it. In the Upanishads, it says, man is made by his belief. As he believes, so he is. The book of Proverbs says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. This wisdom has survived thousands of years for a reason. However, it's easier said than done to change what you believe. Once you experience trauma, you see it everywhere. You can't forget it. It takes up more mental real estate. This is the difficult position we are all in, but there is a silver lining. This whole process that is unfolding is a learning process. That's what it all means. When the superposition collapses, you learn something new. You can change. I keep saying that learning is some kind of magic power that doesn't come from us. Neither is it unique to us. Everything learns because reality is learning. It's just the case that the human being has been given a turbocharged version of it in comparison to other creatures we know of. And I do emphasize that we know of. The jury is still out on super intelligent intergalactic life forms. It's like everything is in a Honda Civic, but we've been given a Ferrari for some reason. And what I've been trying to do is find out why, because it was obviously for a reason. Once you see how nature works, you discover there really are no accidents. Whatever reason it is, you can bet your bottom dollar it has something to do with the maximization of potential. It's a quid pro quo dynamic. I say that nature is kind of like a businessman. I give you this, you give me that. I give you fruit, you spread my seeds. I give you big strong teeth, you keep the forest in check. I give you access to nuclear fission, you make me self-containing supercooled information repositories that will survive the inevitable death of the sun or something like that. I don't know, that's just my creative side coming out, but seeing where nature is going is impossible for us. The future is our blind spot. However, describing what nature is doing is obvious. It's learning. Seizing opportunity, resolving errors, striving towards perfection, trying to reach maximum capability by utilizing its fullest potential, just like we're supposed to be doing. We are living the story that's being told. It's being told through you. Somehow, simply by living your life, the ultimate is showing you what it is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, you took a chance by clicking this video, and if you're still watching, I'm assuming this chance paid off. So I'll ask you to take another chance. I have a private website called Paramine.org where these kinds of conversations are ongoing. The conversation doesn't stop here. It's free to join and you get immediate access to the community. We just launched the voice chat feature so you can text or talk. You can be a professional yapper like me. There's private messaging capabilities as well between users, but that's not all. You get access to free courses organized in a structured, fun way where you level up as you learn. I have exclusive content there that has never hit the YouTube airwaves. You also get access to the library, which is filled with the ideas of our greatest thinkers presented in a bite-sized, digestible format. And to be honest, Paramine is the only place online designed for people who think like us. You won't find another like it. This is why it was made, because there was nowhere for us to go that had a comprehensive offering. You were stuck with Reddit or some obscure Discord somewhere. This is much bigger than that. I believe together we can become the future of philosophy by legitimizing some of these more marginalized ideas. But in order to do that, I need you to join Paramine.org. Link is in the description.